This anime app that I kind of started off on like closed, like I forgot what it's called, but the app itself, that one closed, and it was like a really weird sexual app too, because it was like, yeah, it had like the little fantasy aspects and anime aspects to it, but it taught me a lot of like the terminology and stuff, like the sub and dom culture and stuff like that.
What was the youngest and the oldest that you can probably, if you knew, or maybe you can think of?
Further, when I was like 14,
Mm-hmm.
I would say the oldest guy was probably actually the perpetrator that ended up meeting with me in person, and he was like, I think 30. Yeah,
34
34.
and 14.
I was pretty much being like abused, like digitally.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys were asking me for like different requests and like, let's get online and video chat and do this for me, yada yada. And I felt like in a way like obligated to do these things, because like this was my only source of like friendship and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel abandoned and stuff. So part of my hypersexuality as a child definitely stemmed from something that happened to me when I was like 6 years old. I had an older brother who was about 18 years old at the time. And yeah, I would say on more than one occasion, he did touch me, and that kind of opened up my eyes to what it felt like being a little more sexual and stuff when I was like 13, 14. So we met on Discord, and he was like from Austria. He was like some 20-something-year-old guy from Austria in school and stuff, and he would talk to me until like the latest hours of the night. We would stay on video chat until like from 12 to like 5 in the morning.
What conversation is happening?
It wasn't nice talk. It wasn't like, oh, like what is today? There would be a little bit of that, but a lot of it would be like, I'm trying to have you fulfill my sexual fantasies right now, so can you?
So, where is he locked up? What?
So the good thing that came out of everything from this story is he ended up getting charged with 25 years in prison.
Woo!
And
Praise Jesus.
This happened when I was 14, but he ended up getting sentenced when I was 16. Prolonged things, but
So 25 years.
yeah, so 25 years in prison and getting deported on top of that to Israel.
Oh, he's from Israel. All right, what's up? I am back. This is Ovalle Inspiración. It's been a while, but I'm here, and today we have a special guest, and her name is Seanna. What's up, girl?
Hi.
So we're going to be talking about something very interesting, and as you guys know, I am a big advocate against human trafficking and all kinds of trafficking, or really just abuse of all kinds. But for the past few years, that's just been my lane, and educating myself on human trafficking, especially when it comes to young people or even kids and all that kind of stuff. So today, you're going to be sharing a little bit about your story, because something happened or almost happened. And this is all going to be new for me, because I don't even know your full story.
Right.
I only heard 2 minutes of it in a little that was shared on the news and whatnot. But I'm happy that you're here to share your story.
Thank you, Manuel.
And I got to talk to you and your husband, who's sitting over there, and got to know you a little bit more. And so yeah, we'll just get into it. So Seanna, can you just tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from? I know you have like 30 different nationalities behind you, all that stuff.
Of course, yeah. So I'm Cuban, Jamaican, Chinese mix, and I grew up here in North Miami. And, I grew up homeschooled until 8th grade. And 8th grade is when I started going to public school. So pretty much growing up, like, I didn't really have a lot of friends. And, I did have a lot of family though, which is, how I kept my sanity pretty much growing up. But I have like 10 siblings. But
big family.
Yeah, for sure. But other than that, I didn't really have any friends my age. And I got like a phone, like starting at like 10 years old, like 10 or 11. I was like 11.
Phone at 10 years old?
Yeah. Jeez. So like 11 years old, I would say, probably more 11. And access like to the internet, pretty much like free reign, So there was no limit. The sky was the limit
Yeah.
with the internet and everything growing
Wow.
up.
Wow. So, what was the first, if you remember, what was the first, I guess, either gaming app or social media app that you encountered?
When it comes to, I guess, how things started with my interactions with I guess older men was it was like some weird obscure like kind of anime app. It was like an app that it like promoted like anime stuff and um I don't know. I like got it from like a YouTube video. I like saw it and it was like from like a prank video or something.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they were on that app and they were trying to find people to like mess with and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And I ended up getting that app and there was a lot of creeps on the app. And even though originally I was kind of like doing it for fun, I actually got like kind of sucked into it and like coerced in a lot of
Wow.
ways.
So, so you were, that was when you were 10, like around
I
that
was like
age.
11 years old. So I would say 11 is when that started. Like I started kind of getting into conversations with people online and obviously having like no friends my age. This was my only interaction, with people
Yeah.
outside of my family for the most part and it was like a different kind of attention that I wasn't really used to. And I'll even add in the fact that my parents were going through like I don't want to say divorce. They were separating at the time, but there was like a lot of chaos kind of going on, and you know there wasn't much to do other than just try to seek outward sources of like
Yeah.
comfort and things like that at the time because um, you know there was like no therapy or anything. There's no friends to talk to, so that was my next best thing to do, at
Wow.
least.
But you didn't have like, were you part of like a homeschool community group where you
Um,
were with other kids your age and the moms and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff?
we used to growing up, like maybe in like third grade, or something like that. But pretty much, or I don't know, because the grades got pretty mixed up in homeschooling. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, because I was pretty old. I was a lot older, like 13, and I was still like pretty
Oh,
behind on
wow.
most standards, like grade wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just say like the last time that we did do some kind of community event was when I was like maybe like 7 or 8, and then the people that we went to like kind of closed down their community.
Yeah.
They moved away, and then me and my cousins, actually, they were also
Oh,
homeschooling.
wow.
We all stopped seeking like a community, a homeschooling community, and yeah. But even with the community, that was like a once a year thing where we would go for testing. So there wasn't like much there anyways. But yeah, it was pretty lonely for the
Yeah.
most part.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. So you homeschooled until 8th grade. Then you finally went into high school.
Actually, I started public schooling in 8th grade.
Okay.
So, fun fact, I was like 13 years old in like 5th grade. Yeah, and
What?
I it was funny because for the world standard, that's like that's crazy. But
Yeah.
for me, like being a homeschooler, I guess that wasn't like you know I didn't really
Because you learn your own
understand.
pace as
Yeah,
well.
you
Yeah.
are you are your own pace, and it was kind of advanced. So what I did was I just went straight to my grade needed for my age, and I
Oh.
skipped like 3 grades, just went straight to 8th grade, and yeah, I did well in public school.
And did anybody like make fun of you that you were that age
I
and
didn't.
that
I didn't
grade?
really tell a lot of people. It was kind of something for me. It was kind of like a, shame. But
Yeah.
obviously, growing up and not having like a solidified, teacher there for you all the time, because both of my parents would work. It was kind of like expected, like
Yeah.
to when you're in a self-taught program, like there's only so much a child really wants to
Right,
do,
right.
So at the end of the day, looking back at my younger self, I'm like, I'm not going to blame the child version of me for for that. Plus, considering like I actually did good in public school, I got good grades and everything when I started public school. So, and the best thing actually about being homeschooled was my manners were a lot different from other kids, and I was looked up upon by a lot of my teachers because they were like, wow, Sienna's like one of the best students that we have. She's so kind to us and so respectful and everything. And all these other kids, because I went to public school in the hood pretty much, and they were like, all these other kids are so, you know, disrespectful and everything. So I kind of got a little bit of a leg up from that, you know.
Wow. So in some aspects, I mean, you had some privileges of being homeschooled because, like you said, you learned those manners and a bunch of other stuff that public schools probably didn't get, or the students in public schools didn't get at home.
Right. Because the homeschooling program I was doing at the time was a Christian public schooling, and you know it did have that fundamental background, and it was actually a Christian. It was a program made for missionary kids. So it was like supposed to be on the go and things like that for missionary kids.
Wow.
So I had that background growing up of being a Christian, but you know. Things ended up, you know, kind of changing as time went on.
Wow. So even when you got to 8th grade public school, you still had your phone and social media. Now, your parents, they never monitored anything of your use of phones?
Yeah, so it was pretty much like they had this saying. It was like, oh, we don't want to invade your privacy because we trust you, and you know we trust you. That was pretty much it, and we think that you're gonna make the good decisions. So I liked that growing up because I was like, wow, my parents are so trusting and so cool and da da da. But you know, ultimately, I wish that they did check on what was going on, because they would check like maybe like once in a blue moon, like once a year. You know, they would just be like, let me see what's going on your phone, but. We were smart too, you know. It wasn't like we were just gonna like
outsmart them, especially if they don't know much about phone usage or how to navigate. And
it wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna let them see everything I was doing. So you know, it was kind of like a mix between the two, because they didn't want me having friends online and stuff, but that being my only kind of like source of, you know, friendship and stuff like that. I ultimately ended up doing that, you know. So they would like say they didn't like the idea of it, but there was no action kind of behind that.
Wow. So then you get into high school.
I was gonna say all of this happened before high school.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this happened right. Wow, that's crazy. And so right now you're 19 years old, right? So this was still recent, pretty much. If you could say it's not.
I was 14.
14. That was 5 years ago. Like, this is still fresh. You know, so you're 14 and you're on social media talking to these guys and them messaging you or whatever. What specific apps were they hitting you up on? Or was it like a gaming app?
Yeah, so this anime app that I kind of started off on, like, closed, like I forgot what it's called, but the app itself, that one closed, and it was like a really weird sexual app too, because it was like, yeah, it had like the little fantasy aspects and anime aspects to it, but it taught me a lot of like the terminology and stuff, like the sub and dom culture and stuff like that, and you know, being like submissive and stuff. So I learned a lot of that very early, and then a lot of guys took advantage of that. So I would get hit up on like on this app, and then we would move over to like, I don't know, Kick.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
We'd move over to the Kick and Skype too, actually, which is kind of weird.
So
right?
you were Skyping?
I was Skyping
with
like
random people that you don't even know, like personally.
Right.
Wow.
So that and it's actually funny now because I'm thinking back and I'm like, that's crazy, because like now technologically speaking, that's so old, you know.
Yeah,
that's kind of old.
Yeah.
So So yeah, I was a lot because a lot of these older guys, that's kind of all they knew. So they would like ask me to like move over to those apps, and a lot of the time it was untraceable. So they were like, yeah, let's go to this app so it's more private, da da da, and we can talk. So you know, when you're young and impressionable, like getting attention from these older guys was kind of a big deal, and it was like something that I thought was cool because it's like I'm getting this attention and they think I'm pretty, so things
Wow.
like that.
And what was the average, I guess, what was the youngest and the oldest that you can probably, if you knew, or maybe you could think of?
Like
The
online,
guys.
like online.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, I remember my first like boyfriend that I made like when I was like 12. He he was like also my age, and we talked on that app, the anime app I was talking about, and then we broke up, and I was so sad. But that was like the youngest guy I talked to, and then after that, I mean, going more further when I was like 14. I would say the oldest guy was probably actually the perpetrator that ended up meeting with me in person, and he was like I think 34 or 5.
You're lying.
Yeah, because I actually don't remember. I know that he lied about his age. He said he was a little younger than he actually was. But yeah, he was
30, if that was the true age, regardless,
yeah
34
34.
and 14. I have a daughter. I don't know what I'll do.
Right.
Or and a son. I don't know what I would do. But dang, like, and you were just, of course, because you were getting attention and you were just going with the flow and you like the feeling. So for the parents that or anybody that would listen to this interview or this discussion, what are some of the grooming tactics these men use to lure you? Because a lot of people think human trafficking is like the movie Taken. I don't know if you've seen the movie Taken, but it's about a girl who got kidnapped and blah, blah, blah. Yes, there are people who do get kidnapped, especially like other countries or whatever. But most of human trafficking or it's not through kidnapping. It's familial or it's through the internet, especially nowadays. It's somebody that you know. And you have to build trust with that person. Just like they build trust with you, right? What are some of the tactics they use that you felt, I guess, comfortable and like just go with the flow?
Yeah, it
Versus
was
like,
definitely
I don't know, you like, nah.
Yeah, it was definitely like well, by the time that I had encountered my perpetrator, I was pretty well groomed into like believing like, hey, like this is totally normal. Like I didn't have that initial reaction that most kids would have, like stranger danger. Like that was really like numbed in my mind. Like that fear factor was like pretty much gone because by that point I was like, I was pretty much being like abused like digitally.
Yeah.
Like a lot of guys were asking me for like different requests and like let's get online and video chat and do this for me, yada yada. And I felt like in a way like obligated to do these things because like this was my only source of like friendship and stuff like that, and I didn't want to feel abandoned and stuff. So I the main grooming tactic is befriendment, and a lot of the time they do go after kids who don't have like a reliable like source of like, I guess, what's the word?
They're just vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable kids.
Whether it's they're just vulnerable, so they maybe they don't have somebody that shows them love in their life, or maybe they don't have income, or they don't have enough clothes or food or whatever, so they'll use that to lure you in, and they start promising you things.
Yeah, and although like I had a 2-parent household, like this was a time when they were going through that separation, and I don't know what it was, but that really impacted me. And they were constantly fighting and stuff, and my dad ultimately ended up moving out, and I ended up moving in with him after. But just like that kind of like that brokenness in the household was totally like what kind of made everything go up. But man, I feel like I'm about to go on a tangent. So I'm about to go on a tangent right now. But I also wanted to mention a big part of my hypersexuality as a child definitely stemmed from something that happened to me when I was like 6 years old. When I was 6 years old, I had an older brother who was about 18 years old at the time, and
That's
I
a
would say
big gap.
I would say on more than one occasion, he did touch me, and that kind of opened up my eyes to what it felt like being a little more sexual, and yeah, I mean, it was like a whole mess what happened with him, but pretty much my mom kicked him out and stuff because she found me in like the room with him like yeah, one day she wasn't home, and she found me in the room with him, and he was like physically erect and everything, and he was just he had me in there just massaging him and stuff, and just doing weird stuff, and I was like in the closet when she came home because yeah, I was like, I don't know if he put me in there. I don't really remember much.
I mean, you're 6 years old, like.
I don't remember. I don't remember really much, but what I do remember is like watching my mom like scold him in the backyard and then kick him out like the same day. So that was definitely something that opened up like demonic spirits in me when I was young, and then because growing like even when I was like, I don't know, 9 years old, I would watch like things online, and I would actively search for things online because I was like exposed kind of to that already, and it made me feel some kind of way, and it opened up doors. So by the time I was 11, I kind of had already like seen a lot of things and experienced a lot of things. So I was like trying to kind of seek that feeling again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was really weird.
Do you still have a relationship with your brother?
I've personally forgiven him, and this is why I kind of didn't want to bring it up because it hasn't been like legally like acted on. So I think my family kind of internally took care of it, just me personally. So I don't even know how to go with that, but I know personally, my relationship with Christ, I've forgiven him, but we don't forget, and
of course.
and actually I did tell my family when I was 12. It was like haunting me until I was like 12 years old, and I came out and told my family about it, and it confirmed suspicions from my mom. My mom was like, I know that this happened to you when you were little, but you just didn't say anything because we couldn't get it out of you.
Yeah.
And so when I was like 12, I was like, oh wow, like this happened, and it's very real, and I had to like kind of build myself up to tell my family, and then now it's like a well-known fact in my family, and we're just like, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like it's really sad, but since it did happen so long ago, it'd be so hard to like kind of go about that in a legal route.
Right.
So
yeah.
we believe, like, or at least I believe, the justice has been served, just with him just kind of knowing that we know.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna let that happen to any of our other family members.
Wow.
So there's definitely something there, and
that's crazy.
I'm not even gonna go. That's a can of worms.
Wow. So, man, that's rough. 6-year-old and an 18-year-old. Which unfortunately that's a common thing that happens in many families, especially in the Caribbean world.
Exactly, right.
When it's the younger boy or younger girl, then the abuser is the uncle or the older sibling, and then in many cases nobody ever knows until 20 years later. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I'm glad that you're fine now, so you don't have to deal with that stuff. But you did see how it affected you all those years.
Yeah, and I remember I was talking to my sister about it, and she said that when I was young, like that literally opened up the doors for demonic spirits to like come in, and that was so true because it actually those sexual like demons.
Desires.
Those sexual demons stayed with me until I was like 18.
Wow.
And we can get more into that. We can get more into that as we continue. But we're we're gonna talk about the human trafficking, portion of this.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. Have any of these guys, the older guys that you've spoken on social media, have they per- bought have they bought stuff for you,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
clothes, or have they given you money, or I don't know, gadgets, or
Yeah,
what are some
definitely.
things that they have?
Specifically, there was this one person I remember. I think I was like 13 when I met him online, or 12. I think I had just turned 13, and then we met on Discord, and that was the
That's
time
one
when
of the top 3 most dangerous apps right now.
yeah, that's when I moved over from my Kick and Skype to Discord and Instagram and that stuff when I was like 13, 14. So we met on Discord, and he was like from Austria. He was like some 20-something-year-old guy from Austria in school and stuff, and he would talk to me until like the latest hours of the night. We would stay on video chat until like from 12 to like 5 in the morning,
Pause. Because I'm trying to wrap this.
Yeah.
Try to understand this in my brain. You're 13, 14, whatever, and he's in his 20s. When you say that you talk to this person or other people for all these hours, like, what is there to talk about? Like, what conversation is happening? I mean, you don't have to necessarily say exactly what's going on, but I'm just trying to understand in my brain, like.
Yeah, it wasn't nice talk. It wasn't like, oh, like, how was your day? There would be a little bit of that, but a lot of it would be like, I'm trying to have you fulfill my sexual fantasies right now, so can you do this for me and that for me and whatnot? But and a lot of time it was also me like pouring out into them, because these were my people that I would seek these were one of the only people I could really talk to,
And that's what they want. That's how they get you, because they see that you're vulnerable, so they build that trust with you, and then you can start talking to them, pouring whatever it is, and then, boom. You know what I'm saying? Even if nothing happens to you at the moment, something might happen later on. But you're not gonna know that because you're in that little bubble of, oh, I can talk to him. He listens to me. Blah blah blah. Maybe he send me gifts. Like, oh, I'm safe.
Yeah, the guy from Austria, like, he bought me like expensive gadgets and stuff like that, and sexual gadgets, of course, and like he would get them sent to my house, and obviously my family would not know about it, but he would send them to my house, and then obviously I'd use them on camera for him, and actually one of them he would like control it from all the way where he was. Wow. It was like some kind of like, I don't know how it worked, but it was like on an app and all that stuff, and like you can control it. But like that was an example of like something that they would buy me. Wow. Like things like that.
Wow. Did you ever receive money too from others?
It was never money.
It was just more tangible, physical stuff.
Yeah, it was more things like that because I never looked into it for money. It was kind of like or they never offered either. Right. It was kind of just like I'm gonna buy this for you so that you can use it for me and stuff like that.
So at that time, did you ever have like thoughts on like, this is not right, but you're still going with the flow anyways?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest, at that point I was kind of like really in deep shame because I felt like I was kind of too deep into it, because I was like, well, these are my only friends, and even though I was kind of keeping it a secret, I was like, this is like my secret, this is something I hold near to me, but I was also really scared to like kind of end things because even though it was online, like the way that they would talk to me was so violent sometimes. It was like, oh, like, I don't know, but I was kind of scared to like end things. But on top of that, like when I started thinking of the word violent, I started also thinking about some of the requests as well I got, like, oh, like can you like cut yourself, like, and like send me a picture of that.
So they got pleasure out of asking for you to cut yourself?
Yes, yeah, like stuff like that.
People are sick, bro.
Right, and I'm like, you know, because it was like a weird domination thing. They wanted to see that, you know. I remember I tried, but it never ended up working out for that specific request. But
Wow.
but yeah, that's like an example, you know, just yeah.
Dang, I never heard of that. I never heard of a request for somebody to cut themselves. That's just demonic, like pure demonic. You know what I'm saying? For somebody to take pleasure in that.
But yeah, and sorry to keep going on tangents, but it was a literal form of brainwashing, because like, man, you're staying up until the latest nights of the hour with this kid, and you're affirming that they're worthless, and like, hey, like you're like my piece of property, things like this, and you know, just continuously affirming these negative things, and ultimately became who I believed I was.
Yeah.
So, you know, that kind of led me when I was 14 to like kind of going through things in person.
So did anybody know about this? Did like the new friends that you probably started having in school, nobody?
No, not necessarily. I remember I did bring up like to maybe one or two of my friends, like, yeah, I'm talking to like this older guy and stuff, but I kind of talked about it like it was normal. And I remember kind of like getting like weird reactions from my friends in middle school, and they would be like, "Yeah, like what are you talking about?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, doesn't everybody do that?"
Wow.
But yeah, no, that's definitely.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So you come to this point where you actually met in person somebody. Was it just one person, or that day or that time? One or two? One?
Just one, yeah.
How did that happen? And what happened?
Yeah, so.
And how did you escape, I guess?
Yeah, so it was really interesting, because I was kind of, in a way, like being pimped out. And I say that because it was actually the Austrian guy again. He really was asking me. He was
Wait,
like,
he flew over here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm talking about, he was asking me,
Okay.
can you meet up with someone and tell me about it? Like, he was like, can you meet up with someone? Like he had weird requests, but he was like, oh, like, I remember one night, even before this happened, he was like, I want you to go to the park, like, in the middle of the night, like, go to the park in the middle of the night and like try to get raped. And I'm like, what?
He did not say
I
that.
remember I told him, I was like, what do you
What
mean?
the heck?
But I compromised with him. I'm like, I'm not going to the park. That's really scary. That's really dangerous. I don't want to go to the park. Like, that's so scary to me. But I like went outside and just like kind of like walked around and like with him on the phone and stuff. And he was like really into that. He was I like went to my backyard and did like weird stuff like on the phone with him, and he was just like kind of urging me to like go out. And I mean, obviously there was no regard for my well-being. Like, you know, obviously I could get killed, but you know, it's like satanic people, you know. They
Wow. I mean, I know there's crazy people out there, but it's just now like hearing specific requests like that, like I never
like people
knew.
like this exist.
Yeah.
And they're out here and they're not in prison, you know, and it's really scary because they're online probably still, you know.
Whoa, that is crazy. Before you get into the story that where you meet this guy, I don't know if you know, but in 2024, there was about 300 million kids or minors that were digitally abused or trafficked worldwide. What are your thoughts on that?
It's
300 million globally, all on social media.
In other countries, I can imagine it's probably even worse. But and that doesn't surprise me in America because, like, you know, I don't know, it's so easy to do, you know, because all you need is a vulnerable kid and a predator guy or woman to reach out to them and possibly just give them what they're looking for, like they're like maybe it's relationship, you know, or like love, affection, or money maybe. But yeah, that's all you need. And as long as the parents don't know, it's easy to do. So it doesn't surprise me, and that's why I think parents need to be a lot more involved.
Very
Because
involved.
a lot of parents have this idea of like trusting their kids, but
I don't understand.
it
Like,
doesn't make sense.
I mean, I know I'm still a new father. My kids are still not even 4 years old yet, but kids are kids. Like, their
Yeah.
brains are not fully developed until 25, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can't just say, "Oh, I trust you." Like, what? And even if they're good kids, still does not mean that you just have to put, "Oh no, I trust you. You're not gonna do anything." I'm like, bro, we're kids. We start doing stuff even if we're not technically like that bad person. We have a brain. We start, processing things. We have an imagination. Kids have amazing imagination. They do things whether it's good or bad. Like, you can't just be like, "Oh, I trust you. You won't do anything."
Right. And it's also a lack of like knowledge just with social media. Like you don't really I'm sure that you don't think like especially with the whole trust thing, you don't really think like in the back of your mind constantly like, hey, like there's predators online, and there's so many opportunities for them to reach out and chat with your kids, and like be on video time with them and FaceTime and everything. And you know I don't think that's what's going through their minds when they say, "Oh, we trust you."
Yeah.
We're probably like, "We trust you to play games and Google stuff or whatever." But like, other than that,
Right.
you're
Right.
not thinking about like the potential dangers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and how that can become in real life.
It's the truth. I mean, nowadays with everything that's happening on social media, like that mindset has to change. Like that has to be in the forefront of your mind now as a parent. Like, aren't you hearing what's going on Roblox? I mean, I don't know if you heard the recent news. This young guy, I don't know how old he is, but he's maybe around your age, and he was booted off Roblox because he was catching predators.
Oh wow.
It became a big viral news all over. I think 2 weeks ago, to the point where Chris Hansen, who's Chris Hansen,
Yeah.
he interviewed him. Like,
Wow. I have not seen that.
parents are suing Roblox. Supposedly, I don't know how true it is, but supposedly the CEO of Roblox, they want to add like a dating app in there, like a dating game or whatever. I'm like, come on, like if you really care about the safety of the kids, why are you doing all of this? Why are you allowing all of this?
Yeah.
But it starts from the parents, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't really blame the app. I can't. It's the parents that need to be involved in the kids' lives and monitoring I mean, why does a 10-year-old have a phone to begin with?
Exactly.
Like, forget about monitoring them. Don't give them a phone. They don't need it.
Exactly.
I know times are different. All right, I'm 39 years old. I didn't have my first phone until I was like 16, and even when I had my phone, it was still new. I wasn't on my phone. I was outside playing with my friends at the park. You know what we used to do when there was no technology like that.
Yeah.
But everybody just wants to be on the phone now, and that's where all these kids, they get digitally exploited, abused, and then trafficked. It's just nonstop.
Right.
So what happened with this guy?
So with the one
The one that you actually met.
Yeah.
In person.
So yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I was kind of being like kind of pushed to meet someone in person. So, I was like on different apps and stuff, but I specifically found one that was like, that wasn't 18 plus. So I was like conscious of like maybe I shouldn't be on one that's for 18 plus, but I ended up going on this app, and it was like a friends making app. That's what it was kind of like made out to be. And I saw the guy who I ended up meeting, and we spoke, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty," da, da, da. And I would really love to meet you one day and whatnot. And I found out like he wasn't far from my house and everything. So yeah, like I remember telling the other guy who was kind of like asking me to do this, and I was like, oh, I found somebody, and he wants to meet me in person. He was like, yeah, like you should definitely do that, So I remember like kind of having a moment of like reflection and feeling like super scared about this because I was like, I might get hurt or something, but at the time as well, I was kind of like, I don't really care about my well-being too much, because I feel like I was fully aware that I could have gotten kidnapped or something, or more than that, like killed. But I was kind of like, the the risk was kind of worth making, my I'm gonna call him a pimp. My like, I guess my other online perpetrator,
Yeah.
like, happy. So I was like, okay, it's kind of worth the risk. So I went into it, and I told him where I go to school and everything, and I was like, this is my middle school, and I get out at this time, blah blah blah. And he's like, that sounds perfect. I'm gonna take off of work, blah blah blah. I remember I at one point was like, I actually texted the guy that I met, and I was like, I actually don't want to meet up anymore. I'm really scared, and this is, yeah, I'm just gonna call it off here because, I've never done this before, and yeah, but he ended up getting really angry with me, and I think he got on. He was like calling me, blowing up my
Oh my
phone,
gosh.
and he was like screaming at me. He was like, I can't believe you're doing this. I already took off of work for you, blah blah blah, and you're just gonna leave me like this, da da da. And I was like crying and stuff, and I was like, okay, like, whatever, I'll meet up with you. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna come pick you up after school. So
Yeah.
I remember that day I went to school. It was actually like right after Valentine's Day. So I came to school with like a bunch of stuffed animals, and I was wearing a Mickey Mouse sweater, red Mickey Mouse sweater, and uniform, backpack, everything,
Yeah.
like a normal kid, just regular kid. And I remember going about my day like, all right, you guys, like, I'm not gonna go to after school program today because I'm gonna meet up.
Oh
I,
boy.
I didn't say who I was meeting up with, but I said I'm gonna get picked up today. And I was like telling my friends, and I was sweating like in my last class. Like, I remember like literally shaking. I was about to pass out. I
Yeah.
was so nervous. And then and then school let out, and I was like, oh my gosh. And the feeling of like just complete dread was kind of coming over me, but I knew it was kind of too late to back out of it, because I didn't know what else to do. Like, I couldn't call my parents about this. They were gonna I felt like that they were gonna
Yeah.
freak out at me, and everything like that. And I didn't see myself at the time as a victim. I saw myself as like also like being the bad one, and I
Right.
was,
But you were a minor.
yeah,
Regardless.
yeah. Truthfully, I was a kid, and there is nothing that I could have done at that point, to like make things. I mean, not make things better, but I feel like at that point the decisions were being made by this guy to
Yeah.
continue
Of
with
course.
everything. So I'm just like, okay. I saw the car, and he was like, I'm in this SUV, da da da. I'm here, and I got in, and I got into the front seat, and mind you, I didn't give out all my stuffed animals. I still had some, it's like, I looked so innocent, you know what I mean? And so I'm in the car, I'm in the front seat, and this guy, he's visibly like kind of like heavy set, he's kind of older, just older in general, and he was very scared, and too, and that's when I kind of got like a little bit of like, how do I say, when I saw that he was scared, I was kind of like, all right, I kind of don't think anything's bad's gonna happen, just because of like
Yeah.
how he was acting, and he was like super super like, uh I don't know, but I was like, okay, I think I'll be okay. So things go, and we're driving, and he's like, actually, can you get in the back seat, because I don't want you in the front seat with me. I don't need you to be seen in the front seat with me. So I like get out the car, and I go to the back seat, and then we're just driving through kind of like my neighborhood, and we're driving through, and we're going to his house at this point, and I'm just like, I'm just like, yeah, this is where I go. This is like right there. I'm like, this is where I go to my after school program and stuff, and this is where I grow up, and this is my neighborhood and stuff. And he's just like, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever. So, also fun fact, when we met online, we were texting, and he was like, yeah, I'm single. I don't, I don't have any kids or anything. I'm single, and I live alone. Blah blah blah. So, anyways, that was just fun fact because it's important. When we get to the apartment, he's just like, oh, don't say anything. Like, I need you to come in with me very quickly, and like, don't make yourself seen, whatever. So I'm just like, okay, like, we'll go through this, whatever. So we go upstairs together, and once I get inside, I start looking around, and I look around on the walls and everything, and I see these pictures of him at a wedding, and I'm
So
like,
he lied.
yeah, and I'm seeing his wife, and I'm like, oh.
Wow.
So at that point, I get nervous because I'm like, oh, he's lying about something like this. I don't know what else he's lying about, So I'm kind of just like, oh, I'm scared. So I sit down, and he's there at the table, and we're sitting down, and he's like, so do you want any water or anything? And I'm like, sure, I'll have some water. He gives me water, puts down 2 bottles. And this is, I don't know why I remember this detail, but I drank water, he drank water, put it down, and I was like, oh, sorry, which one is yours? I might have mixed it up. He's like, doesn't matter. Like, does it even matter anymore? And that's when, like, my heart kind of dropped, and I was like, oh, damn.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, and he was like, if you want, you can just move into the bedroom now. So, go in the bedroom, and I don't really want to get too much in detail, but it was like kind of a different experience from anything I ever experienced. But in my victim's impact statement, a sentence I did want to highlight was, I wrote, it's traumatizing for a child to experience someone pretty much as that could be their father, like raping them, So, yeah. After everything happened, I was like getting dressed and everything, and I was spraying perfume on, kind of just trying to mask the smell, and he flipped out because he's like don't spray anything, like don't do any of that.
Might smell that and she'll figure it out.
And at first it didn't click to me why he freaked out, but he's like, I don't like any smells. He opened up the window, and I'm like all right, and yeah, also before we left and everything, like there was a moment that after everything, I kind of like we were just hanging out pretty much essentially, and I was like trying to like be on my phone and everything, and he's like, no, you cannot get connected to any of my internet or anything like that. I don't want anyone to know you're here. I don't want any trace of you here, and things like that. So that was just another detail I wanted to mention. Wow. But this guy, he knew exactly what time it was, like I couldn't have been there. There was no trace. So we were there. I was probably there from like after school, so I don't remember when school ended, maybe like 3. So when school ended until like 7, and then he took me home, and like luckily, right, like he took me home and dropped me off.
That was the best thing he did.
Right.
He took you back home.
The only good thing that happened from that is I went home, and he dropped me off. He dropped me off at like the curb near my house, and then I walked home, and then yeah, it was like nothing happened. Wow. It was kind of like, hey grandma, and I went in, and
My gosh.
No. And also, just sorry, but
no, you're good.
But it's just things are occurring to me, and it was like as soon as I got home, I got on the phone with
that guy, Austria guy,
with the Austria guy, and he's like, oh, good job, like this is what I was hoping that you were gonna do, and tell me every detail,
So I'm trying to. Austrian guy is the one that you've been talking to for a while, but he was requesting for you to meet somebody else, and whatever happened, and then now he's excited that you told him that you did that, which makes to me it makes no sense. Because instead of him wanting to pleasure and meet you in person, he was telling you to meet somebody else, and then he gets happy that you did that.
Right.
I don't understand
It's
that.
it's
I don't
what's that
understand
word
that.
for it? I don't know if it's voyeurism, like when you
Yeah.
get pleasure out of seeing other people do things. That's exactly what
That's
it was.
crazy.
Yeah, and he ultimately had pleasure in seeing me like put myself in a dangerous situation, because there was absolutely no guarantee that I would have came out of that, number one, alive and like anytime soon.
Right.
You know. And ultimately, when I say the story, right, it kind of sounds like your typical statutory rape story, right? But when the indictment came out and he got like prosecuted and everything, that's when my detective was like, "Hey, this is actually human trafficking," and I was like, "What?" Like that's something that
Yep.
only happens like to other people, like that, like that's crazy. And she was like, yeah, because he transported you,
Of course.
which is a form of
Yeah.
kidnapping.
Transport. Yeah.
Yeah, he transported you, and which was a form of kidnapping, which ended up becoming human trafficking. So I was like, oh wow, because imagine like if instead of going to his house, he took me across state lines and took me to some shed, right? Like how you hear on the news all the time, and that's human trafficking. That would have been human
Yeah.
trafficking.
And you're a minor. There was when it comes to human trafficking. For those that don't know, in order for human trafficking to exist, or whenever you're being tried, there has to be force, fraud, or coercion, but for 18 years and over. But if it's under 18 years old, those three words does not need to exist. That's human trafficking.
Exactly.
So, and you were a minor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, where is he locked up? What's
So the good thing that came out of everything from this story is he ended up getting charged with 25 years in prison.
Woo!
And
praise Jesus?
I was not at the trial.
Okay.
It took about
I mean, that's still. I mean, I can imagine even if you went there, that's still traumatic. Even if the outcome was good, he got justice, but just being there, like, and you're a minor, that's probably could still traumatize you. You know?
yeah. I had like actually my dad went and my sister went,
Oh,
and they
wow.
watched him like get the
Yeah.
sentencing. But this happened when I was 14, but he ended up getting sentenced when I was 16.
Okay.
So it
Well,
took
yeah,
about 2 years.
it usually takes a while. You
Yeah,
know.
and especially with COVID, like that definitely prolonged things. But
So 25 years.
yeah, so 25 years in prison and getting deported on top of that to Israel.
Ooh. Oh, he's from Israel. Whoa. Damn. You done.
Yeah, he was.
So wait, he's getting deported after the 25 years, or?
Yeah, after the
Oh,
25
wow.
years. So from what I remember very vaguely is he was Jewish or some kind of form of like practicing
Yeah.
Jew. So that's just, I mean, fun fact.
Wow. That is crazy. That is crazy.
Because I mean, usually you wouldn't think like a Jewish person would,
Yeah, but
be
if
into
anybody
that,
could
but
do that. You know what I'm saying? But I get why.
yeah, especially practicing.
My gosh. Well, I'm happy that there was justice served, because not all the time justice is served in many cases.
Right.
And I know Florida don't play when it comes to human trafficking.
Right.
So shout out to Catherine Hernandez, state attorney. She's very adamant when it comes to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My detective was definitely that light for me in that time, because I was in pretty much a dark hole, like just with my mindset and how I was going about like my communication the people I was talking to, and obviously it wasn't just the Austria guy.
Yeah.
Like there was other guys that
course.
were talking to me alongside the Austria guy.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, I even remember at one point I was having FaceTime calls with both of them on the call.
Wow.
They were like literally like okay with both grown men being on the call with being me, like me on the other side. It was like a group call. So it was just like, like there's so much corruption.
Yeah.
And
Wow. So let me fast forward a little bit more. He's gone. You're a new young woman.
Yeah, pretty much. I got a
married.
new start. Oh.
You got married at last year, 18 years old.
Yeah. Things radically changed for me when I was 18.
And you have already a year into the marriage.
Yeah.
Serving the Lord together with your husband, who's watching right now in the room.
Yeah.
Right? So without going too much, I don't want to take too much of your time, but now that everything happened, your eyes has opened, you've seen more stuff, you've seen the danger, now you back with the Lord and new life with your husband, like how is that?
I mean, it's like day and night, really, because I see how much I was into the world and before, and I mean, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I think it's so important that I share this part with you as well. In like after I was like 16 and stuff, and everything happened with the perpetrator and everything got in jail. There was still a lot of damage that was done mentally, like with my self-esteem, like even no matter the amount of like affirmation and stuff, like there was a fundamental foundation that was missing, which was Christ. So ultimately, 16, I ended up getting into like high school relationship and stuff, and that became like my new thing. That was like my new life and stuff, and I ended up getting into modeling and hanging out with a bunch of different people and stuff. But I still had that kind of mentality of like my body is like kind of it's shareable,
Right.
like I wasn't sacred in a way, even though I still I had that I don't know, love for like helping with law enforcement and everything. I went to a law enforcement high school. Like I really wanted to continue with law enforcement. Within me, like there was no like change, kind of. So when I turned 18, like literally as soon as I turned 18, and this was around the time like I was going through a breakup with that ex that was in I was with when I was 16 and 17. I was going through that breakup, and it was so hard for me. So I ultimately I started getting into this lifestyle where I was like, I'm gonna start looking for guys with money, and I'm gonna go about this sugar daddy, sugar baby lifestyle. And it was almost like what happened when I was 14 again, like just thinking about it, because I was getting put in situations where these guys were kind of just using me for my money. I mean, for my body, using me for my body. So I got sucked up into that lifestyle as soon as I turned 18, and ultimately what I felt like was a prostitute at that time. And I was seeing like different guys, and like probably every week, like a different guy every week, and I was making money, but it was like it was under this guise and veil of being a sugar baby and being like kind of high value. It was like, oh, I'm a high value woman because I'm seeing all these guys and they're trying to court me and they're trying to give me gifts. I was getting a lot of gifts, getting a lot of money, taken out shopping and things like that, and I believe that was just because I was pretty. But ultimately, your body can't tell the difference between being a prostitute and being a sugar baby. Especially when you're seeing so many different people. And that was at my lowest low.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
like I was so deep in depression, and you know, I was confiding again in like older men, and that's kind of like my safe space in a way. Like that was my safe space, because it was like, you know, these younger guys, they couldn't help me in the way that I needed at the time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I find it so important to like help and like mental health help for previous survivors, because it's so easy to get sucked back up into that, you know.
Yeah.
So I found myself pretty much in that lifestyle when I was 18, and then miraculously I met my now husband, and you know, he was literally in my high school the whole time. I just happened to kind of meet him again in a different way. So I met him, and you know, he showed me this new lifestyle, which was a Christian lifestyle, and he showed me the fruits of what it's like to be a godly man. And I had seen so much evil, like especially with men in general. I was kind of like giving up on it. I was kind of giving up on the idea of being worth a woman to have a family with and stuff like that, because you know, I had been so damaged. At least I felt I was so damaged, and you know, kind of used up. It was kind of like I didn't really feel like I was worth you know, marrying and having a family. I met him, and he showed me all of that did not matter. You know what I mean? Like this was so temporary. It did not matter at all. And he showed me like church and everything. Like he showed me church again. I grew up in the church, but it was like I was really being shown it, like for real, you know, like on my own. And you know, I remember we went to church one day, like just me and him. It was like our maybe second time hanging out outside of school, and I remember crying at the sermon because I just felt like something like touched me. And then we went out to the fair, and then we went out to like this honky tonk thing, and then that's when he was like, oh, like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And so I told him there. It was like a very like emotional moment, and I had to be honest with him. I said, right now, like, I will be honest with you, I'm seeing someone that's been financially supporting me for this past couple of months, and you know, I just want to let you know, like, this is the lifestyle I have been doing. And you know, I was kind of expecting him to say, like, you're disgusting and I don't want to be around you, but he actually, and I was so nervous telling him that because I really liked him and I didn't want him to like think that about me. But you know, something within me was like, just be honest, you know what I mean? So I told him, and he was like, listen, like, you don't have to do that anymore. Like, you can literally stop all that right now. There's nothing stopping you from stopping that, and giving your finances to God, you know, like just depending on God for your finances. And so when I thought about it like that, I was like, okay. And you know, he was a very masculine man. Like, I'm like, this is someone that I see as a leader. So I'm like, boom. And literally, like, radically in that week, like, my whole lifestyle kind of changed.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like, I had a lot of promiscuous clothes. I had a lot of promiscuous images I had online, like, because of like, you know, on Instagram and stuff, I was kind of a model.
Okay.
So I'd do like, you know, bikini and stuff like that, just trying to like put myself out there and stuff. But all of that, I got rid of it, and all of that, like, all of the evil eye jewelry I had, the I had like bottles of like it was supposed to be like potions, and they're supposed to help with like money.
Yeah.
Oh, spray this for the money, spray this one for the love.
All this new age witchy stuff.
Yeah, I threw all that away, and it was like, I remember crying in my room just like while throwing all the stuff away, because I'm like, wow, like, who could have told me to do this? What could have made me do this other than a supernatural force, which was Jesus? You know what I mean? There was nothing in the world that could have convinced me of otherwise to change my life, you know? Because I was so stuck in my ways of like, I need to do this to make money. I need to you know, I need to see new guys every week to make myself you know, seem like I'm a high value woman and stuff like that.
Wow.
So I got with my husband, and well, my not husband, but at the time, I mean, you know, he's only a year older than me, so you know we're close in age, and it was different for me because I was kind of like, wow, I'm like starting fresh, you know, and it was like all of that I did previously was kind of like that didn't matter, and it's kind of like a telling of like how Jesus thinks about us, like you know all of that's washed away when you believe in him. So that was kind of like a physical form of that, you know.
This is
my
right
life.
here, 2 Corinthians 5:17. It speaks exactly what you're talking about. When somebody comes and new in Christ, all the old things passes away.
Amen.
And
So
that's exactly what happened with you.
Yeah.
He could use anybody, but he knew what he was doing when he used him to get to you, and your life was completely transformed. And now you're married a year into it.
Yeah. So like we fell in love, and it was a love that was based on Christ, and that was the foundation. You know, my previous relationship didn't last because it was a foundation built on sand. You know, it wasn't on Christ. Christ is the solid rock.
Yeah.
So this relationship was built on the rock, and I saw the fruits. I saw the fruits of of Christ in him, and you know what a man is supposed to be, and that led me to becoming a more godly woman. And you know it even says in the Bible, like you know the man is the spiritual leader. You know in the head of things, God is the top man, and then the woman, because the woman looks to the man for leadership. So that was super telling. I was like, wow, that's so true, because if it wasn't for him, I would not have gotten that leadership in like kind of an example.
Yeah.
So he was a good example to me, and you know, I was like, you know, he's gonna be such a good father, and I want to see myself having family with him and everything, and I want to get married. So you know, we were talking about like getting engaged and stuff, and I expected things to go about like
a year later.
Yeah, like a year later that we would maybe get engaged, but he ended up proposing to me in church like 4 months into it. And that was super surprising to me because you know I wasn't expecting
Right.
And then just like 2 months later, and we were expecting to get married like when we were like both 21, 20, but we ended up getting married like 2 months later because we just knew like that God brought us together.
Yeah.
And you know we were kind of meant to be married, and you know it felt we knew that we were, you know, set for life because we're engaged. You know, what's stopping us from getting married at this point? Like, what's the point of waiting? So we ended up getting married, and you know, he was the first person who ever waited until marriage for me, and I didn't think it was I was worthy of that. You know, I didn't think I was worthy of waiting till marriage and everything, but it happened, and I feel God blessed this relationship, and you know,
Amen.
Everything like that.
Amen. That's just beautiful.
Thank
beautiful,
you.
beautiful. But I have 2 more questions because
Yeah.
I know I want you guys to enjoy your date night at the movie theaters today.
Oh, you good?
But two questions, and I want you to look at the camera when you answer them. The
Oh,
first
okay.
question is, as a young girl, teenager, right, with social media, their phones, what is something you would tell the parents that have their kids with social media? What is an advice or something you would tell them?
Yeah, I would say don't give your children access to social media, access to the internet or anything of that nature, until you know for sure that you know they're ready and mature. Because I mean, honestly, I know for a fact when I grow up and have kids, just from what happened to me when I was little, I would not give my children social media or access to a phone or the internet until, you know, they're maybe of age, like 17 or 18 or something like that. But, being more realistic, just even if you do want to give them a phone just for security purposes, like, to call you and call the police and stuff like that, because phones do have a good purpose sometimes. Monitor it and stop, quote unquote, trusting your kids with their social media and devices like that, because even if you give them a phone at like 14 or 15, you should highly monitor it, because it's not something that you can necessarily trust them with, because the predators are they're hoping that you trust them. The predators are hoping that you're not watching. So definitely don't give them that power to do that.
Right. Awesome. And talk to your younger self, which is all the other teenagers that has phones and social media. What would you tell them?
I would say,
Even if they're not talking to all these guys, but there still are other dangers within it.
yeah, I would say, like, even though that it might feel like you have a friendship, and you might be, you might be kind of seeking this love and this affection from, older men, or someone just older, or even someone who claims to be your age. You know, Definitely make your parents aware of who you're talking to, even if it sounds like it's scary. Your parents would rather, you tell them and maybe be a little shocked, or whatever, than you end up being in a compromising situation where you either get killed or get hurt. So it's just, it's not worth the risk of meeting people online, or talking to people online who ultimately just want to take advantage of you.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come in over with your husband and meet my wife and kids and get to know you a little bit more.
Of course.
But I want to shout out my homegirl Gloria Martinez for linking us up.
Yeah.
And right now, as she watches it, she's smirking, because she always smirks. She's always smirking. Like, she cannot have a serious face. But if you don't know who Gloria Martinez, she is a survivor of sex trafficking. She also has a nonprofit called Taking Back the Girls, and she works with middle schools and girls and boys, and doing her thing. And we have collabed before, and we continue to collab. So thank you, Gloria, for linking me up with Seanna. And because of you, obviously, she's trusted to come here with her husband and talk to me and share her story. And I'm sure it's not easy, especially that it's recent, 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time to come. I'm just super happy that justice was served for that guy, 25 years, and then being deported. I hope, as evil as it is when people do stuff like that, behind all of that, I guess, anger or whatever it is that goes through my mind when I hear people that are trafficking others, my hope is that they still come to a knowledge of Christ and repent, because nobody, I don't care if it's somebody that stole something from a teacher's classroom, from somebody doing evil as trafficking, in the eyes of God, sin is sin. Consequences are different, of course, but anybody can be saved. Nobody is too sinful for God. He can save anybody.
Yep. That's actually my that's so close to my high school quote that I put in the yearbook. I was like, "There's more grace in God than there is sin in you."
Right. Right. So thank you so much for coming. And this is not gonna be the first time we're gonna collab, because we will be doing a Zoom session at one point, and have parents come in and do a Q&A session. So that's going to be interesting. So stay in the loop for when that happens. Stay on social media. And yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate being here and being able to share my story.
Awesome. All right. Peace.